Barcelona cools interest in Marc Guéhi as Premier League giants circle. The Crystal Palace defender is edging closer to a decision as financial realities reshape Barcelona's plans. Marc Guéhi's name has been firmly planted in FC Barcelona's long-term defensive plans for months, but the path that once looked promising is now losing momentum. As the English centre-back approaches the final stretch of his contract with Crystal Palace, the market around him is heating up fast, and Barca appear increasingly cautious about staying in the race. The Catalan club have reportedly tracked Guehi closely and even held meetings with his representatives earlier in the season. He ticked many boxes: age, experience at Premier League level, and international pedigree with England. According to Mundo Deportivo, however, negotiations stalled some time ago due to a significant gap between Barcelona's salary structure and the players' financial expectations. With no recent contact between the parties, the operation has effectively cooled. Crystal Palace, for their part, are already planning for life without their captain. The London club turned down a €40 million offer in the summer, fully aware that Guehi is now set to leave on a free next summer. From January onward, he is free to negotiate with foreign clubs, and there is said to be little appetite on either side to delay a decision. Those clubs are not hard to identify. Liverpool remain one of the strongest contenders. According to Sky Sports, the Reds have maintained a so-called gentleman's agreement with the defender after a previous move collapsed. Their main dilemma is timing: wait until summer to sign him for free, or attempt to strike a deal with Palace earlier to avoid competition. Bayern Munich are also well positioned, with German sources suggesting they are prepared to offer a salary package well beyond what Barcelona can currently afford. Manchester City have joined the conversation too, with reports in England indicating Pep Guardiola's side see Guehi as a potential leader in a defensive rebuild next season. Despite the financial obstacles, Guehi remains highly rated inside Barcelona. Earlier reports said that sporting director Deco considers him one of the best possible fits for the club's future defence, especially with Andreas Christensen sidelined for months and Inigo Martinez having left for Saudi Arabia. Barca's priority, though, is clearly the summer window, when they intend to sign a top-level centre-back without compromising their economic balance. That wider strategy explains why Barcelona are also monitoring other elite defenders whose contracts expire in 2026, such as Dayot Upamecano and Ibrahima Konate, while keeping an eye on longer-term targets like Joško Gvardiol and Alessandro Bastoni. Arsenal retain Marc Guéhi interest as option for summer transfer window. Arsenal retain a long-standing interest in Crystal Palace captain Marc Guéhi, most probably as a defensive option for the summer transfer market. The North London side have discussed pursuing the England international and figure among a host of suitors in contact with Guehi's representatives. Liverpool also remain in contention, relating to the end of this season rather than the current window, with Guehi's contract up on June 30th. Earlier this week, The Athletic reported that Manchester City were deliberating whether to push for Guehi in January, having seen Joško Gvardiol and Ruben Dias sustain injuries during their recent fixture against Chelsea. Guehi came close to joining Liverpool on deadline day last September, only for Palace to pull the plug at the 11th hour, hoping to keep the 25-year-old for the remainder of the campaign. He completed at least part of a medical with the Anfield side after a fee of £35 million was agreed, while personal terms were in place on a contract until June 2030. The Athletic reported in November that there was an amicable understanding between Palace and Guehi, admired by the likes of Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich too, that he would see out the final months of his deal. The injuries to Gvardiol and Dias have left City short in defence. Palace manager Oliver Glasner was vocally opposed to a sale in the summer and refused to countenance his talismanic leader departing unless an appropriate replacement was found. In October, however, he conceded that Guehi will leave next summer when he is scheduled to become a free agent. The Bosman rule means Guehi has been able to speak to non-English clubs about a pre-contract agreement from January 1st. Talking earlier this week, Glasner could not guarantee that Guehi would remain at the club beyond the winter market closing on February 2nd, saying he does not know what will happen. City's pursuit follows news that Gvardiol will miss several months and Dias faces up to 6 weeks out, while John Stones has also been sidelined since December. City have recalled academy graduate Max Guéhi from Watford, and he started alongside Nathan Ake during Wednesday's 1-1 draw against Brighton and Hove Albion. Arsenal, meanwhile, have Gabriel and William Saliba as Mikel Arteta's first-choice centre-back partnership. Ricardo Calafiori, Christian Mosquera, Piero Hincapié, Jurrien Timber and Ben White have also featured there in 2025-26. Guehi has missed only one match for Palace this season owing to a minor ankle injury and has earned praise from Glasner for his professionalism, while his future has been subject to speculation. He has made 187 first-team appearances for Palace since a 2021 move from Chelsea and captained his side to their FA Cup final victory over City at Wembley in May, the club's first major trophy. He has also played 26 times for England and was a regular in the side that reached the 2024 European Championship final. Guehi makes sense, but raises questions. Analysis from Arsenal correspondent Dan Sheldon-Arsenal, reigniting their long-term interest in Guehi and holding conversations with his representatives, makes total sense. Guehi has established himself as an exceptional defender and would be a brilliant addition to many, if not all, of the biggest teams in Europe. So the fact he is on Arsenal's radar shows the Premier League leaders are alert to the market and remain open to taking advantage of a situation that arises, as well as highlighting a desire to ensure their squad remains one of the best around. Guehi being available on a free transfer in the summer means they wouldn't need to break the bank to sign him, although you would expect, as can often be the case in these situations, that a would-be transfer fee is wrapped up in higher wages or a signing-on bonus. If Arsenal were to strongly pursue Guehi, then it would raise questions about the future of other players in Arteta's squad. Gabriel is arguably the Premier League's best left-sided centre-back, with Calafiori and Hincapié also able to play in that position. Bayern Munich's Max Eberl makes new calls to Marc Guéhi. Amid heavy Premier League interest, does FC Bayern have a chance? Bayern Munich is not letting up in its pursuit of Crystal Palace centre-back Marc Guéhi. That's according to the latest report from Sky Germany, as captured by Ocker Site TV, which has Bayern Executive Board member for Sport Max Eberl making a recent and personal push. Max Eberl has made new phone calls regarding Marc Guéhi in recent days, trying to convince him of a move to FC Bayern in summer. Bayern are not giving up on the race for the defender. Manchester City remain interested for January, while Liverpool are pushing for the summer. The race is open, and nothing has changed here. And from this perspective, the race looks like more of a long shot for Bayern. Manchester City needs reinforcements and can make the move right now. That could be an instant upgrade in compensation for Guehi and likely the preference of his club as well, so that he is not lost on a free. If it goes to the summer, the bidding war will be intense and other clubs may not have a starting centre-back pairing as settled as Bayern's appears to be in Dayot Upamecano and Jonathan Tah. On the other hand, a footballer only gets so many moves in his career. Perhaps Eberl can make a strong case that no matter how big those other clubs are, Bayern is still heads and shoulders the right move for Guehi. Crystal Palace set Marc Guehi's price tag. After months of speculation about his future, Marc Guehi now knows his market value. According to The Guardian, Crystal Palace are demanding £40 million to let their captain leave during this winter transfer window. British sources report that Manchester City are currently leading the race to secure the 25-year-old defender, although Liverpool remain closely monitoring the situation. A pillar at the heart of the Eagles' defence, Guehi is enjoying a strong season with 20 Premier League appearances, notching up 2 goals and 3 assists, further cementing his reputation as a top-class centre-back. It's a profile that fully justifies the price set by the London club. Crystal Palace are prepared to demand as much as £40 million, approximately $53.6 million, to sell centre-back Marc Guehi in the January transfer window, a report has claimed. Europe's elite have been circling Guehi ever since last summer, when Liverpool saw a £35 million switch break down at the 11th hour. Now in the final 6 months of his contract, Guehi is seen as a premium candidate to target on a free transfer at the end of the season. Liverpool remain interested, while Barcelona and Real Madrid are both admirers, and Arsenal are the latest side to join the race for his signature. It is Manchester City, however, who have reignited the transfer frenzy with a willingness to try and sign Guehi immediately in response to a defensive injury crisis, which has seen both Ruben Dias and Joško Gvardiol sidelined in recent weeks. If Guehi is to leave Palace this month, then the Guardian state it will take a fee of around £40 million to get a deal done. Even though Guehi's contract is closer to expiring and clubs overseas are now permitted to speak with him about a free transfer, Palace appear to be prepared to raise their asking price, given the complication that comes with finding a replacement in a January window, which is often thinner and more expensive.